Hello everyone, and welcome to the English Shadowing Practice Podcast. I'm Anna, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. Sometimes in life, we pass by strangers every single day. People we don't know. Faces we'll probably never see again. But once in a while, one of those moments changes everything. Today's story is one of those moments. It's about a simple morning, a quiet bridge, and two people who met by chance. One of them was ready to give up, and the other just stopped to say hello. This story is called The Stranger on the Bridge. So sit back, take a deep breath, and listen carefully. Because sometimes, one small act of kindness can save a life. It was a cold, cloudy morning. The kind of morning that feels heavy even before the day begins. The city was quiet, except for the sound of cars passing by, and the wind whispering through the buildings. I was walking across a bridge that I had crossed many times before. But that day, something felt different. My thoughts were loud. My heart was tired. And everything inside me felt uncertain. You know those days when nothing feels right, and you start to question everything. That was one of those days. As I walked slowly across the bridge, I noticed someone standing by the railing. A man. He looked still. Too still. His hands were gripping the cold metal, and he was staring down at the water below. The look on his face was empty, lost, and broken. Something inside me stopped. I didn't know him, but something told me I had to say something. At first, I hesitated. What if he didn't want to talk? What if he told me to go away? But a small voice inside me said, "Go." So I walked closer. I said softly, "Excuse me. Are you all right?" He didn't answer. The wind blew between us. I could see the pain in his eyes, like he was carrying 1,000 thoughts. He couldn't speak. I took another step closer. "You're not alone," I said. He turned his head slowly. His voice cracked as he spoke. "I can't do this anymore," he said. I felt my heart tighten. I didn't know what he meant exactly, but I knew it was serious. So I stayed calm. Sometimes silence and presence speak louder than words. I said, "Listen, I don't know what you're going through, but whatever it is, it will pass. I promise you. It will not always feel like this." He looked at me, tears forming in his eyes. "Why are you talking to me?" he asked. I smiled softly. "Because maybe you need someone to talk to. And maybe I needed to talk to someone too." He let out a small, broken laugh. That was the first time I saw a bit of light in his face. We stood there for a few minutes, just breathing, watching the water move below us. Then I said, "Let's go get a cup of coffee. It's cold out here." He didn't answer right away, but then he nodded. We walked slowly toward a small cafe near the bridge. The sound of rain began to fall softly on the pavement. We didn't talk much, but sometimes silence is enough. Inside the cafe, we sat by the window. He looked down at his cup, hands trembling slightly. "I didn't think anyone would notice me," he said quietly. I replied, "We all notice. We just don't always know what to say. But I'm glad I stopped." He smiled weakly, and in that small smile, there was life again. Over the next hour, we talked about simple things, about the weather, about how life sometimes feels too heavy. He told me he had lost his job, his home, and almost his hope. He said he had been standing on that bridge for a long time, thinking about ending it all. I listened, not to fix him, just to let him know he mattered. Sometimes, that's all we need. Someone to see us. When it was time to leave, he said, "Thank you for stopping." I smiled and said, "You don't need to thank me. Just promise me one thing. When things get dark again, talk to someone." He nodded, and that was it. We went our separate ways. Days turned into weeks. I walked across that same bridge many times again. Each time, I remembered that morning. And every time I crossed, I looked out and whispered a silent thank you. Not just for him, but for that moment. Because that morning, he reminded me too that kindness still exists. Months later, I received a small envelope in the mail. Inside was a handwritten note. It said, "Dear Anna, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the man you spoke to on the bridge. That day, you saved my life. I've started working again, and I'm getting better. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." I read that note many times. Every time I felt lost, I read it again. It reminded me that one small act of kindness can change everything. So my friends, the next time you see someone standing alone, looking lost or sad, say hello. Ask how they are. Even if they don't answer, your kindness might be the bridge they need to cross back into hope. Remember, you never know whose life you might touch just by being there. Sometimes, a stranger can change everything. And sometimes, you can be that stranger. Thank you for listening to this story. Take your time. Repeat each phrase slowly. and feel the meaning of every word. This is Anna from Global English Talk. Until next time, stay kind, stay calm, and keep learning English with love and understanding.